Back here on First Things First, we're going viral. Clippers and Warriors faced off last night, but the halftime performer was the star of the show, hands down. Check out Tavares Jones's moves.
The Inside the NBA crew said, good for Kevin Hart to do this for the kids. It's a good line by them.
You know who I need to introduce him to, Nick?
Who?
A pretty little girl in Harlem.
Oh, my daughter?
My God.
No, it's chill, man.
No, your daughter's
Here
adorable.
comes my favorite part. Let's see if they run it. It's called Around the Clock. Well, he goes.
It's called Around the Clock?
It's called Tick-Tock Clock. I don't know if you
Tick-Tock Clock?
Okay, obviously I don't know the name of it, Nick.
Then why do you say what it's called and it's your favorite part?
Yeah, that's the name. Did you see it? Going up.
You know what's funny about what you said about introducing him to a little girl in Harlem?
Yes.
The song he was dancing to, both my daughters. My wife got back from out of town yesterday. Both my daughters had been practicing that dance all weekend and did it in our living room yesterday. I'll tweet it out. Yeah, that's a true story. But nah, we're good, bro. Okay. We're good.
Second true story. My daughters didn't practice that dance yesterday.
Yeah, we know, Jenna, because we know who their mom is.
That is, there's no coffee in that mug, so that was just for effect.
That's a true story. It's not lying about that either.
I told you, okay? It's just for effect. I know you're jealous. I'm never playing poker with you. Time for some stories to start your morning. Russell Westbrook was ejected after 2 quick tees last night in a win against the Kings. His teammate, Carmelo Anthony, said after the game, quote, "I'm done with the refs."
Done.
Nick, seems like we have a story like this almost every day now. What's your reaction?
Man, I need to talk to the head of the refs union. Something's going on, man. Is there like a coming labor dispute? Are they upset about work conditions? Man, they're getting into it with seemingly every superstar in the league. Harden's had issues. LeBron's had issues.
Yes.
Durant
LeBron was thrown out the same way. 2 quick texts.
Right. I mean, it was the delicate sensibilities. They don't like the curse words they're hearing all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on. And by the way, some of the officiating sensitivity has coincided with some very questionable calls and very high-profile games at the end of games. So I gotta talk some sources. I gotta figure out what more is going on.
It's fairly simple. Hey, referees, we're not watching the game to see you. The refs are too involved in the game. There has to be something. I know they have meetings around the All-Star break. I'm expecting a correction for the second half of the season.
I agree with you.
All right, big news for Andrew Luck and the Colts. Indianapolis is reportedly close to making Josh McDaniels their next head coach. Name sound familiar? He's the current Patriots offensive coordinator. He does have head coaching experience. He was the head coach of the Broncos back in 2009-2010. What do you think, CeCe? Good fit for Indy?
All the Bill Belichick trees, except Coach Mangini, have all looked like huge oak trees. You got them about a year or two after they get out of the New England soil. They didn't rot it and died.
They look like the guy who poisoned them, the Auburn guy.
Oh, man.
Or the Tumors Corners, the Alabama.
Yeah, that
Harvey Updike.
That wasn't good. It's like when they change the soil, something happens. I don't know if they don't have the cachet in the locker rooms. The voice, they try to take the New England way on the road, and it doesn't work for these coaches. So I don't know. I hope so. I know he's a bright, competent offensive coordinator. Is he a head coach? That's the question. I'm gonna have to see that one.
They call these guys retreads. Guys, Pat Shurmur's getting a job. They're going to call him a retread. That means you've been fired from your previous job. I don't think that's always fair. I think very often you learn a lot from your first head coaching job.
Yeah.
You don't make the same mistakes, and then you're better the second time around. The concern with Josh McDaniels it wasn't so much mistakes as it was personality. He just didn't seem to treat people the right way. I don't know if you learned that. I don't know if you learned how to better do that. Then there was also the skirting of the rules. Those were mistakes by him. It's been long enough ago, I think people forget how controversial he was in Denver.
All right, finally, it's been a while since we talked about the Giants. They will reportedly hire Vikings offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur when Minnesota's season ends. Odell Beckham Jr. tweeted he was, quote, geeked about the news.
Geeked.
CC, what would hiring Shurmur mean for the future of the Giants?
I spent more time with Pat Shurmur on the sideline in the Vikings celebration. I mean, he's a player's coach. I've known him for a while. Man, the quarterbacks that he's helped develop, Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford having his best season percentage-wise last year under him, Case Keenum being resurrected by him, and seeing his personality and knowing how the Vikings feel about him, I think he'll do well with the Giants. I think the Giants and Gettleman and OBJ will be very, very happy with Pat and the results that he gets in developing players.
Before you're talking about him with the Giants, I just want to mention one thing about him with the Vikings that gets forgotten. Sam Bradford got to the Vikings last year right before the season started, right? Teddy gets hurt. They don't have an off season with him.
Yes.
And he comes in and plays fine. We saw very little of Sam Bradford this year. But what we saw was the best game of his career, coming off a full offseason, his first full offseason with Pat Shurmur. Now, it's too small of a sample size to draw any giant conclusion, but you add to that then we saw the best we've ever seen from Case Keenum. And you have good reason to believe Pat Shurmur can make the best of mediocre quarterback situations, and maybe if you have a great quarterback situation or a good quarterback situation, make it great. How does that apply to the Giants? Well, the Giants have the #2 pick of the draft. If they select an offensive-minded head coach, they are going to let him decide if he wants a quarterback and what quarterback he wants.
Or they've already agreed on the philosophy in the interview.
Right. Oh, correct. Exactly. Does he want to bring Case with him, if that's a possibility?
Yes.
Does he want to see if he can get the best out of the last few years of Eli's career? It is very different than had they hired Patricia from New England.
Yes.
If they'd done that way, Gettleman would be deciding on the quarterback. Patricia would be all about the defense. I don't know if OBJ would be tweeting that he's geeked about the Patriot way coming to New England.
No. And let's not forget Pat Shurmur. He was the offensive coordinator when Nick Foles went, 27
touchdowns, 2 picks.
Yeah, 27-2. So he's got some great work out there. And when you've developed players, different players, and that being Nick Foles, Sam Bradford, Teddy Bridgewater, Case Keenum, that right there is more important than I coach Tom Brady. Because not almost anyone can do that, but a lot of people could do that in New England.
Jeff Fisher called for the job. They didn't call him back.
Just saying. Hey, back to the NBA now. Cavs hosted the Warriors last night. Some would say these are the two teams who will be left standing at the very end. Also, these are the two teams who were left standing at the very end the last 3 years. So there's that. Golden State won this, 118-108. 32 points out of Kevin Durant, also 32 points out of LeBron James. LeBron James also had 8 rebounds and 6 assists. He turned the ball over, though, 8 times. Cleveland has now dropped 8 of their last 10 games. Here's LeBron James after the game.
You want to play well, you want to see where you are, because for the most part they've been playing well for a long time now. So, you want to try to get better and better and see things that you can work on going forward, things that you need to get better at, things you can continue to get better at. So, it's a good game for us, for 36 minutes maybe 40 minutes. We had some opportunities, but we weren't able to cash in.
So you see, if it's true if we really do believe that these are the two teams we're most likely going to see in the finals, judging on what you saw last night, how far apart are they?
Just real quick, I want to congratulate Chris Carter. Back-to-back days, his 2 favorite teams in sports, the Minnesota Vikings and the Golden State Warriors, got big wins. Very happy for you this morning, CC, as you were.
Yeah, he's a little upset.
I'm not upset. I'm happy for my partner.
Because my pocket a little heavier.
Oh, yeah. Favorite teams and favorite teams.
No, I do like the Warriors. I've always liked the style for which they played. I didn't hold it against the Warriors when they added Kevin Durant. Of course, I love LeBron and enjoyed watching him, been knowing about him since he was 14 years old. But the reality are, where are these franchises? And they are going in different directions. To me, Golden State, they're looking like they're enjoying playing with each other. And I believe that Golden State is better because the subs that they're using, Bell that they brought in sometime into the starting lineup, gives them more athleticism. It makes them more dangerous. So the pace that they play at compared to with Zaza, I believe they're more dangerous. And I believe they're more comfortable. Kevin Durant being a superstar some of the time. Steph Curry taking over the game some of the time. They look like they're in a flow that was even better than the flow that they had in the finals. Cleveland, who are they? They are a 1 superstar team. Kevin Durant is a good #2 option. We don't know where he's going to be as we go throughout the season. So, And they're also the oldest team in basketball. So how much better are they going to get down the stretch? Are they going to get Shumpert back? Or, which I believe they're going to make a trade, either Tristan Thompson and Shumpert and the Brooklyn pick to try to get better. So I don't know what Cleveland team is going to be taking the playoffs. So I believe there are huge differences between these two teams. And let alone, there's 7.5 games, I think, behind Boston.
Yeah, listen, they're not going to get the 1 seed. They also didn't get the 1 seed last year. How far apart are these two teams? Around the same distance they've been the last few years, which is they need, especially since the Warriors added Durant, LeBron James to play out of his mind for them to win. Last night, he had 32, 8 and 6, 3 steals, 4 blocks, 67% from the field, but he had 8 turnovers. And that's not out of his mind. That's a good game with a but because of the turnovers. They can't beat Golden State with LeBron having a good game. He has to be what he was at the tail end of the finals 2 years ago, 4 times for them to beat Golden State.
But you say that as if it's just in passing. That's a lot to say. There's a lot to ask of someone.
And let you know how the situation is, because it lets you know that the surrounding cast, even though the bench is better, the starting five's not as good as they were last year.
Well, not yet. We'll see. We've got to see how Isaiah looks once he's fully healthy.
Nick, all I can do is go on the information that's been presented to me.
Right, but the information that's been presented to you, you anticipate Isaiah.
I anticipate them getting better offensively if Isaiah gets healthy. I expect that. I don't expect them to get any better defensively.
Okay, well, I do, because last year I saw this team, when everyone panicked about the defense after the All-Star break, be 29th in the league in defense. Right now, they're 29th in the league. And what happened in the playoffs? They were 3rd in the league in defense. They were better defensively. Do
you think the Eastern Conference is stronger this year and would take a better effort for Cleveland to get to the finals than last year?
I mean, sure, slightly. But last year they went sweep, win in 5 by an average of 16 points per game. So even if the Eastern Conference is a little bit better, they will still, in my eyes, easily make the NBA Finals. I do not think they will play an elimination game in the Eastern Conference playoffs. I don't think you believe they'll play an elimination game in the NBA playoffs. So go ahead.
I just don't think they're nearly as good. I believe Golden State is at least as good to potentially better because they're more athletic. Some of the younger guys have gotten more time, and I believe Bell is a huge add to them because they can get up and down the court.
2 years ago, Golden State won 73 games. And had the unanimous MVP. Last year, they added Kevin Durant and walked through the playoffs leading up to the NBA Finals. So the idea that Golden State is markedly better, I don't know how possible that is.
I think it's possible because we've seen them play without a number of their superstars for a significant time.
Oh, they can certainly survive injury better than any team in the league.
And so we've gotten through the part where, because it's always like you said, man, 4 finals in a row, like most teams have some injuries. Well, maybe they got away with their injuries.
Maybe.
Because they've had the guys miss.
But the other thing about this year's Golden State team that's not the case about last year, Iguodala's having his worst year shooting from 3. Draymond, once again, can't shoot threes. They've made up for it because Steph and Durant are playing as well as they've ever played. Steph, since he came back from his ankle injury, is playing as well as he did at the peak of his unanimous MVP season. So the Warriors are a juggernaut. But what we saw to me last night in the Cavs when they had the game tied in the 4th quarter before they went ice cold from the field is they are clearly toggling an on-off switch. And they can dial it up as they did yesterday. Yesterday it wasn't good enough. But it was nothing like what they looked like the last 3 weeks.
But, Nick, you keep saying that once IT's back and he's going to pour in and contribute and everything, is going to be a little bit better. But it's not just him just coming back. Now you're seeing what's happening with him back. Maybe he's not putting the points up yet. But everyone else is having issues with him being back in the lineup. You have to fix that, too.
Yeah, but that's what the next 35 games are for. They 2 years ago when they made a major trade at the deadline, they had to figure that out. What else?
He's never going to be worried. He's never going to be worried about LeBron James' team. He's never going to be worried. But there's cause for concern for normal people.
The Warriors, listen, everyone knows the Warriors are a dominant team. Everyone knows they're the most talented team we've seen. What we also know is this. When they play the Cavs in the finals, the Cavs are the best player on the court. I do know that. So, no, I'm not going to be that concerned. That's true. You're correct on that.
Coming up, Diversion's Family Feuds and Secrets.
Oh, other family feuds.
Next.
Other family feuds. No, this ain't a feud, man.
Feud? This is not a feud.
No, y'all just wrong.
No, I'm down with the Warriors.
First things first,
I know what's going
back
on.
after this.
I'm down with the Warriors.